Hello there, my name is Benedetta and welcome to Tender is the Read. I hope you're having a fantastic summer. I know that I am. I have been doing a lot of traveling for work-related stuff, and now I'm finally getting some time to chill as well, some beach holidays. So basically I've had a lot of downtime to be able to read, and I don't know about you, but I think that there's something so different about reading in the summer and summer reads. Like, it's just a specific type of read that you want to do, I feel like. I mean, I always like to read in tune with the seasons, but in the summer it's just usually fun reads, stuff that is a little bit more relaxed, less intense, less dark perhaps than other seasons. So I don't know, for me it definitely has a special place. So for that reason I decided to put together a few reads that I think are perfect summer vacation reads, perfect to take to the beach, just for the holidays in general, wherever you may be, city break or the countryside or whatever. I have a good mix of more contemporary literary fiction and some older classics, as well as sort of middle ground cult classics, I would call them, because obviously classics is what I read the most and I always want to include them. So of course you'll find that and a mix of everything. So I hope that you find something inspiring. Before we start, as always, don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed it and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thank you. So to begin with, I've put together some little sort of romances, contemporary fiction that I find that is a good summer read in my opinion. Now bear in mind that I don't actually read any romance in general, so these are not quite romance books per se, but I thought that they were interesting relationship based books that I've enjoyed lately and I think would be perfect for this season. So first off, I have OK Days by Jenny Mustard. So this is one that is fresh off the press. I still have my proof copy. I adore this book. It is set in the summer, at least at the beginning, and it's all about a love story that starts with knowing the fact that the girl in the couple, Sam, will have to leave London in a few weeks time. So obviously it's, you know, a love story with an expiration date, which is such a fun concept, and it's very reminiscent of just summer, you know, with people moving away for internships and stuff, or just simply vacation flings. So I thought this was lovely, and it is elevated in the sense that it's not just that small part of the story. There's a lot more going into it, and it's a complex relationship, but a lovely one at that. And I also really appreciated how it really centers London almost as a main character. I've said this before in my reviews. I just really enjoy this depiction of the city. It's not only relatable if you know the city already, but it's super charming, I think, even if you have not lived there and you don't particularly recognize all the spots that get mentioned. But I don't know, the way the characters explore it and live it is just really perfect for a city break in the summer. Okay, so the next edition that I've got here is more of an author than a book itself, and I'm talking about Sally Rooney. So of course you've already read her books because they're super popular, and I'm literally the last person to discover them on earth ever. But nevertheless, I think that I should give them a shout out because they are just beautiful. And yes, I am aware that Conversation with Friends is probably the most summery of the three, and I still have to read that, so maybe that's gonna be my summer read. But normal people, as you probably know, you've probably seen the show, of course, which was equally as famous, but it's all about a couple that meet in high school and then sort of continue bumping into each other through their first few years in college, and you get transported through their on again off again relationship. And it's a beautiful exploration. The way it's written, I really appreciate it, with just like deep introspection to both of these characters in a way that is absolutely just magnificent, really. And I love the plot of this one. However, I think that Beautiful World, Where Are You? I mean, I love them equally. I literally cannot choose, but I think this one is more summery because it opens in and of itself during the summer. It focuses around two friends, so female friendship is at the center, and then each of them has their own love interest who also becomes a part of the story. And I think all four characters, all in all, are beautiful representations of sort of life and struggles in your mid to late 20s, which is something that I found relatable because obviously that's my age group. But in general, I think that, again, this is a beautiful book, and perhaps it's more complex in some ways than normal people, in the sense that it is also about friendship a lot more more than normal people is, but in any case, they're both great. Next up, I have a bit of a messy romance. So this is Cleopatra and Frankenstein by Coco Mellers. This book came out in paperback a few months back, so I actually would venture to say that this is going to be quite popular at the beach this year. It's got a very catchy cover and a catchy title in my opinion. It is the perfect summer read in the sense that it depicts the rise and fall of this relationship with a lot of highs and lows. It's not particularly set in the summer. The story begins on New Year's Eve, but I like the vibes of New York City, which is, you know, a big part of it. It's where it's set, and I don't know, I just really did enjoy everything about it. The glamour, the partying, that still reminds me of summer, and I think it's gonna be, you know, a great one that you'll see everywhere. So go ahead and snatch it yourself because it's worth it. And then I've got a book that doesn't really fit in this category, but nevertheless I cannot not recommend My Year of Rest and Relaxation by Tessa Moshfegh. Of course, you've seen this book everywhere for years, and if you haven't read it already, this is your sign to do so this summer, because it is the perfect book for when you're just exhausted and needing a break, which I feel like is where everybody's at during their summer holidays. You just can't take it anymore, and I found that the protagonist's idea of just going to sleep for a whole year was just extremely intriguing to me. I really wanted to know if it could work personally. I'll let you find out if it's possible yourself, but I just loved Tessa Moshfegh's writing. It's inspired, so brilliant, funny. Everything is obviously surreal and absurd, as you may expect from the whole concept, and it really makes it so fun to read. Again, not particularly summer-based, set in New York, which personally I visited in the summer, so I always associated with it. But again, New York is a city for all seasons, of course. And yeah, this made me laugh out loud. So if you're looking for something a bit strange but fun to read, this is the one for you. So next up, I'd like to talk about a different category of authors slash books, and I'm talking about what I would call cult classics, as in classics from the 50s, 60s and 70s, which of course, you know, are not even old enough to be modern classics. They are just too recent, but nevertheless, you know, because of their popularity, I believe that they will definitely stand the test of time. And I'm talking about Joan Didion, Eve Babbitt and Hunter S. Thompson. The first two that I mentioned are two big feminist writers from the 60s and 70s and beyond, of course, who came out of the LA cultural scene and are well known for their writings that include novels, works of fiction such as short stories, but also a lot of non-fiction, both autobiographical works and essays as well. And personally, I want to discover them. I feel like this summer is going to be the time for me, and I'll continue reading their works because I find them so fascinating. And so far I have read two novels, Play As It Lays by Joan Didion and Sex and Rage by Eve Babbitt. They had massive summer vibes to them. They're both set in LA. They spend a lot of time talking about surfing, chilling poolside, spending time in the desert, filming movies, and generally just gave, you know, party, rock and roll. Nevertheless, of course, these are two big feminist writers, so you will see themes that were very important to the feminism movement of the 70s, which are depicted in a way that is so interesting, fascinating, inspired in different ways. So yeah, I would definitely recommend these. I feel like they are cool books to read as well. If you're looking to impress somebody, they've definitely been everywhere online. I mean, any of these authors' books really, and yeah, I think that they are worth the hype. And then after that, I mentioned Hunter S. Thompson, which you may know from Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. I actually only read The Rum Diary by him, but I want to read the former one. This is a sort of semi-autobiographical book about his time in Cuba as a journalist at age 22 in 1959. And it talks about, you know, his summer spent in the Caribbean just doing journalism, but really doing whatever, as life was dominated by partying and drinking and just weird stuff going on all around him. So I found this was really entertaining because in a way, what I find with these sort of cult classics, as I call them, is that they tend to be very much a time capsule of an era that is not so far away from us, so far removed from us, but at the same time, things that would happen then would definitely not fly today. I mean, even just this one with the fact that Cuba, of course, became inaccessible just years later, but just you know, the traveling that these people do, the wild rock and roll lifestyle. I feel like that's very much something that would happen from the late 50s to the 70s and then died out. So yeah, these are just authors that really capture to me that age that I personally find extremely fascinating and always entertaining. So this is a recommendation, but also something that I am working towards this summer. So, you know, if you want to join me, you're welcome to do so. And finally, of course, you know me, so I'm gonna be talking about some classics that I think are perfect for summer. When I was trying to think about titles that would fit this brief, I sort of realized that a lot of classic books tend to be autumn coded or even winter spring, and there's really not so much that is set in the summer or gives massive summer vibes, to me at least. The only exception being, of course, my problematic favorite, Francis Scott Fitzgerald. So yes, there's yet another video in which I will recommend you read The Great Gatsby, because of course, why wouldn't you? The Great Gatsby is quite possibly the book of the summer, like the most summer book of all time. It is set in, you know, rich people's holiday houses for the summer. The heat is practically a character. Everything that happens can never happen in a different season, and it's, you know, the most stunning depiction, I think, of the expectations that one has in the summer and how they just crumble by the end of it. If you've never read it before, the summer is when you want to do it. But now, of course, since you've listened to my recommendations before, you've already read The Great Gatsby and you're looking for something else to read. Another one of Fitzgerald's works is also perfect for this, and of course I'm talking about Tender is the Night, which is, yes, the book that this channel is named after. It is set once again in the summer, this time in the French Riviera. There are a lot of scenes that are set during, you know, sunbathing sessions or swimming in the Mediterranean. So you will very much feel all the summer vibes in that, but the narrative is full of melancholy and it's quite a complicated novel in the sense that it's got a bit of a history. It was a commercial failure at the time it came out in 34. It's said to be highly autobiographical in a way that perhaps paints his wife in a bad light a little bit, and for that I would also highly recommend that you check out Zelda Fitzgerald's own perspective of the same plot points, basically, which is Save Me the Waltz. Another amazing book that I would highly recommend. But yeah, so Tender is the Night is more complex, I would say, than other works by Fitzgerald, but I like it all the same, and I am going to be rereading it this summer because it's been quite a few years and I need a refresher. If you're not looking for those beach vibes, if your summer is more of a countryside-based one, I've also selected other classics that sort of remind me of summer, not so obviously, but still I think they fit well. And the first one is Emma by Jane Austen. It's my favorite Jane Austen book, and it is also the funniest and the wittiest. So if you're looking for a fun read, which is quite lighthearted but also super entertaining, full of that signature Austen irony just dialed to the max, I would highly recommend you read Emma. It's got like a sunny disposition, this book. It's a book that will make you smile. I would really recommend it. And then following that, I've got Alice's Adventures in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. Again, a book that is all about fun and lightness. Super friendly for beginners if you're not used to reading classics. It's a fun little adventure in colorful places. It's fun and ironic and witty in many parts. So these would be my summer classics choices. Okay, so those were all my recommendations for books to read this summer. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate your time, and if you have some suggestions of your own, please leave them in the comments below. I always love reading them. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. I hope you have a good rest of the day and happy reading. I'll see you next time. Bye!